welcome to Mayank Chhaya Reports. I am Mayank Chhaya. This is the first in a series of edits that I intend doing on a somewhat random basis depending on the kind of current affairs that we are in the midst of. Today, I want to start with response to a couple of stories in the New York Times appearing on successive days on May 4th and May 5th, essentially reporting that the US has been sharing rather specific actionable intelligence with Ukraine, and which has led to the killing of top Russian generals as well as the sinking of Russia's flagship missile cruiser Moskva. In an age where information is as much a weapon as it's an essential tool for daily life, does passing on crucial intelligence to one of the two sides in a war constitute participation? The answer to this question may be complicated and even nuanced, but it is certainly not an outright no. That is what makes the US decision to arm Ukraine with very specific intelligence that has led to the killings of top Russian generals, as I pointed out, as well as the sinking of Russia's flagship missile cruiser Moskva quite problematic. So far, Washington has steadfastly stayed away from putting American military boots on the ground for two obvious reasons. One being that Ukraine is not a member of the NATO, and the other, more importantly, that doing so would escalate the conflict into a feared Third World War. However, heavy weaponry worth hundreds of millions of dollars has been provided by the US along with other military assistance to Ukraine. What is extraordinary are the disclosure in the New York Times stories. It wouldn't be altogether inconceivable that Russia's President Vladimir Putin, reputedly increasingly isolated in Moscow, would call the US action a direct military involvement with Ukraine. Although wars have been fought in history using proxy nations and their soldiers' shoulders to fire the guns on, Washington's specific intelligence sharing with Ukraine in an era where information is a weapon creates an uncharted territory. It's obvious that Washington would have much rather kept this a secret now that it's out and it is in the realm of how the world generally and Putin particularly interpret it. The US has defended sharing intelligence with Ukraine, of course. Russia's response to the stories has not been specific so far, but the disclosure surely will not be lost on Putin. Moscow has quite curiously countered, saying the Moskva was not destroyed by missile strikes, but a fire on board the ship that triggered munitions explosions, which sank it. It's in Moscow's public relations interest to spin it thus, as it is in the interest of the US and Ukraine to call it specific missile strikes. It has been argued by many that one of the reasons why Ukraine has been so successful in significantly thwarting the Russian forces is because of the intelligence provided by America. It's possible that the international community may soon begin to debate whether such intelligence sharing ought to be viewed as active involvement. After all, the advent of unmanned aerial vehicles, better known as drones, has changed the traditional definition of war. With ever more smart robotic weapons underway, how long before something seemingly soft and undefinable as intelligence and information would be characterized as a weapon by countries? Traditional notions of wars, meaning infantry and tank based confrontations with aerial strikes, are being upended by the rise of technologically brilliant but potentially devastating remotely operated weapons, which are also highly effective intelligence gatherers, including military satellites. It would be unreasonable to insist that specific actionable intelligence sharing with one of the two sides in a war does not approach the definition of a direct participation. The shoulders in this case may be Ukrainian, but the many weapons and intelligence are American. Thank you for listening.